If you're totally exhausted by all those flashy, get-rich-quick schemes flooding your feed lately, well, you're in exactly the right place. Welcome to today's Explainer. We're bringing you the ultimate antidote to all that fake internet wealth. We're going to take the absolute best insights from top financial experts and build out a concrete, step-by-step 90-day financial reset plan. No gimmicks, no lotteries. We're talking about the undeniable math and the psychology of building real, lasting wealth.
You know, this quote really hits at the core of our modern money problem. The truly wealthy whisper while the broke shout from rooftops. Just think about it for a second. The people drowning in debt, they're usually the ones who literally won't shut up about their latest crypto gamble or some designer purchase. But real financial freedom? It's not about making millions overnight or looking rich at a party. It's actually about following a set of simple, kind of boring rules that compound over time into something truly extraordinary. So before we even start the clock on this 90-day reset, we kind of need to challenge your mindset. Which of these three are you? Wasters go through life spending literally everything they earn. They try to buy happiness, but they never actually get ahead. Warriors, they do the exact opposite. They hoard their money in fear, depriving themselves of life's pleasures just to save a few pennies. But winners are completely different. They don't view money as something they just spend or blindly hoard. They see it as a tool. They use their money to make more money.
Here's the roadmap for today's Explainer. First, the 90-day reset begins. Second, automate and build savings. Third, track, review, and plan. And finally, we'll cover 5 habits for long-term success.
Okay, let's take a quick look at the timeline. This is basically our bird's eye view of how the next 90 days are going to unfold. We're breaking the whole thing down into 3 distinct, month-long phases. Phase 1 is the audit. That's where we play defense. Phase 2 is automate and build, where we switch over to offense. And Phase 3 is the future self, where we zoom out and secure your long-term trajectory.
All right, let's jump right into part 1. The 90-day reset begins.
For these first 4 weeks, we're going to treat your personal finances with the exact same ruthless auditing as a successful business. Look, if a business doesn't know its revenue and expenses, it dies, right? Your personal economy is no different. So, here are your exact marching orders for month 1. First, pull up your last 3 months of bank and credit card statements. Categorize everything. You are going to expose some massive financial leaks, subscriptions you completely forgot about, $12 premium parking fees, endless takeout. Second, aim to cut just 10 to 30% of that waste. You don't have to live like a monk, just eliminate the unconscious spending. Third, set up your initial automation. And fourth, put a massive target directly on the back of your high-interest consumer debt.
Let's talk about something called brand hacking. A standard name-brand box of cereal is going to run you about $4 and a quarter. The unbranded store equivalent, just $1.66. You save over $2.50 every single time, and honestly, it's usually the exact same stuff in the box. If you find small, simple savings like this across your groceries and your daily habits, saving just a couple of dollars a day, that easily compounds into thousands of dollars over a few years, and it's completely pain-free.
But hey, we absolutely have to talk about debt, because the math here is, it's brutal. $22,000. That is the true cost of a $5,000 credit card balance sitting at a 20% interest rate if you're only making the minimum payments. How is that even possible? Well, you'll pay about $8,000 in pure interest straight to the bank. But worse, if you had taken that same $8,000 and invested it in an index fund averaging 8% returns, it would have grown to $14,000. So that $5,000 debt, it actually robs your future self of $22,000. You have to attack high-interest debt immediately to stop the bleed.
Moving right along to part 2, automate and build savings. So weeks 5 through 8, this is where we build the machine. We're shifting our tone from defensive debt reduction to offensive wealth building. You know, the biggest obstacle to building wealth isn't actually a lack of money, it's a lack of consistency. Relying on sheer willpower to save money every month is a losing game for sure. You have to automate. Set your system up so your income hits your checking account, and then before you even have a chance to look at it, a percentage automatically transfers to a high-yield savings account for emergencies, and another percentage automatically funnels right into a broad market investment, like an S&P 500 index fund. This is the psychological superpower of paying yourself first.
Now, where you put that automated money is a huge deal. Let's break down those returns. If you leave your cash sitting in a standard checking account, it earns practically 0% and loses value to inflation every single day. If you move your emergency fund over to a high-yield savings account, you can capture around 4%. But for long-term wealth, the stock market is mathematically non-negotiable. An S&P 500 index fund has historically averaged 8 to 10% returns over the long haul. That right there is the engine that will allow you to eventually retire. But while we're busy automating our investments, we got to make sure we avoid massive wealth traps. The biggest one? Cars. Absolutely. The average monthly payment for a new car right now is a staggering $734 a month. Over 5 years, that is over 40 grand. And the car is plummeting in value that entire time. Instead, try car hacking. Buy a reliable, used car for 15 grand that is already depreciated. If you take that $734 you would have spent on a crazy car payment and invest it instead, you could have over $60,000 in 5 years. That's a literal down payment on a rental property just because you decided to drive a slightly older car. Okay, on to phase 3. Track, review, and plan.
So by the end of week 8, your financial bleeding has stopped and your money is automatically growing in the background. Now for weeks 9 through 12, it's all about zooming out to solidify your future. To do this, we're introducing a habit that highly successful entrepreneurs swear by, the 24-hour rule. Look, most people just bury their heads in the sand when it comes to their bank accounts. Instead, you need to check your accounts daily. Keep a live heartbeat on your money. When you look at your net worth every 24 hours, you completely transition from blindly reacting to unexpected money problems to intentionally directing your wealth. You basically become the CEO of your own life.
Here's how the final month breaks down. In week 9, we tackle credit cards. Now listen, if you lack discipline, just cut them up. But if you are disciplined, use them as tools. Paying off a small balance every single month builds an excellent credit score, which can save you thousands by locking in a lower interest rate when you eventually buy a house. Then, in week 10, calculate your actual net worth. Week 11, review your progress over this entire reset. And finally, in week 12, establish your 1, 5, and 10-year financial goals. And that brings us to our final section, Part 4, 5 Habits for Long-Term Success. You made it through the 90 days, but what happens on day 91? Let's synthesize all of this into the top 5 habits from our financial experts. First, live below your means intentionally, and not by being cheap, but by directing your money only toward what truly adds value to your life. Second, you can't just save your way to wealth. You have to increase your value by learning a highly paid skill like coding, copywriting, or sales. Third, only ever spend the yield of your investments, never the principal. Fourth, build multiple streams of income so that if one completely dries up, you're still standing. And fifth, constantly invest in yourself through books, courses, and coaching. I really want to dig into that first habit for a second. Wealth is not how much money you have. Wealth is a ratio. It's how much you spend based on what you make. It honestly doesn't matter if you level up your skills and start making $1 million a year. If lifestyle inflation creeps in and you spend $1,001,001, you're broke. The ratio is literally everything. And you know, that ties right back into that winner mindset we talked about earlier. The true function of money is expansion. Poor people tend to think money exists simply to pay the bills. Middle-class people think money exists to build credit so they can buy bigger houses. But wealthy people, they understand that every single dollar is a seed. You plant the seed, you let it grow into a massive tree, and you only ever spend the fruit it produces. You never, ever chop down the tree. Remember back in week 12 of our reset where we set those goals? Well, the science actually backs that up. Writing down your financial goals explicitly increases your likelihood of achieving them by a massive 42%. You need to identify your freedom number, that exact amount of passive income you need to live the life you actually want, and you need to put it on paper. The simple act of intentionality literally wires your brain to spot the opportunities to make it happen. So, we've walked through the whole roadmap. We found the waste, we automated the growth, and we've laid out the daily habits of the wealthy. The truth is, building wealth isn't some crazy secret. It's just simple, sometimes boring habits repeated over a very long period of time. So, I'll leave you with this one provocative thought. The information is right in front of you. The plan is laid out. Are you disciplined enough to actually execute it? Because your future self is counting on the answer.